I am recording this using the Rode Wireless Pro with the included lavalier microphone, the Rode Lavalier 2. This is without any post-processing applied and it already sounds pretty good. But let me show you what I do inside of Davinci Resolve to make it sound even better. It's a simple 6-step process. And although your workflow might not be exactly the same, this is a good place to start to get crisp, clear audio from your lavalier microphone. We are in Davinci Resolve. I've uploaded a clip that I recorded on the Rode Wireless Pro using the included lavalier 2 microphone, and we are going to change this audio to sound much better. What I've also done is I've copied the clip so that we have an original to compare it to at the end. So let's head over to the Fairlight page and do some magic. So the first thing you'll notice is that straight out of the receiver, this is a mono clip. So the first thing we want to do is change this to a stereo clip. And to do that, we go to Timeline, Bounce Mix to Track. We'll say New Track. And we now have a stereo audio track called Audio 3. Now we no longer need the mono track, so let's delete this track. And I have the original track disabled so that we don't mess with that. I'll rename this to Voice 1, and this is the track that we'll be editing. So first things first, out of the receiver, the audio is very soft. In today's day and age, most microphones are pretty good. You can usually spot. Luckily for us, this is 32-bit float, so it's quite easy to get it as loud as we need it to be. So to do that, I'm simply going to right-click on the track and say Normalize Audio Levels. Now the normalization is going to be, for this, YouTube. But as you can see, there's a few other options. But we'll just select YouTube and click Normalize. Now this will just make the audio a bit louder. The horrible ones by looking at the price point. And now we can start working with the audio. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my mixer, which if it's not showing, you can just click this little mixer button to show it. So you'll notice that track 1 has been disabled, so we can't change anything on it. And for track 2, which is our stereo track, we are just going to go down the list and enable things and change things just a little bit to make it sound better. Now the first thing we want to do is enable voice isolation. You can mess with this a little bit to get rid of background noise, but I usually just leave it as is. And with voice isolation on, let's see what it sounds like. However, most microphones, especially, so that just gets rid of all the background noise and the ambient sounds, and that's pretty good already. Next, the dialogue leveler. Now for this one, we have to do a small change. We have to remove background reduction because we've already done that in step 1. Everything else just stays at ease, and this is what it sounds like. The ones that record in 32-bit float are pretty decent. So further down the list, we have the effects panel, and I'm just going to add the limiter. YouTube prefers that your ceiling be -1 dB. So that's just how loud they want it to be. So the only thing we're going to mess around with here is the input volume. And the idea is to get our graph to be as close to the blue line as possible without clipping. Now clipping just means that the output goes over -12 dB. So we don't want it to go into the red. So let's play. And you can make it sound even better using software like Davinci Resolve. In this video, we are going to be using the Rode Wireless Pro with the included Rode Lavalier 2 microphone and make it sound as... So because of the normalization that we did, we have a very little range to play with here. If you didn't do normalization, you could probably go a bit further with the level, but this sounds pretty good to me. Further down the list, we have dynamics. Now, the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it on compression. And I'm going to change nothing else here. As good as we possibly can in the least amount. So you'll see that we are setting a ceiling on the low ends, and I'm going to change nothing else there. So the only place where we do have some work to do is on the equalizer. Now I'm going to show you my workflow. This might be a little bit different for you, and this is where you'll adapt it according to your voice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable band 1. This is the high end. And I'm going to just move it to get rid of some of the squeakiness in my voice. I'm also going to enable band 6, the low ends, and just, get rid of the lowest of the low ends. So I'm moving that. So what you'll notice is if you drag the number 5, which is the low end, it'll change the range all the way to the end. So I'm going to change this to a loop. And now we can change just the 4 to 8K range. Now this is really just according to preference. So let's see what it sounds like. Amount of time using Davinci Resolve. Now for this, you will need to go to the Fairlight page, but it's not as intimidating as you think. It's really a simple 6-step process that will make your microphone sound clear and sound like a professional microphone. So what I did there is I just dragged it around between 4K and 8K to see where it sounds the best. Now this sounds pretty good. The other thing that I did is I've sharpened this little loop by holding my mouse over 5 and just scrolling with the scroll wheel to get it a little bit tighter. So let's listen to that one more time. Now because our voices are different and mine completely lacks any kind of bass, your workflow might be a little bit different. So that sounds pretty good to me. And now the final step is to add some bass to my voice. So I'm going to do this with band 3. Let's just start this at the beginning. In today's day and age, most microphones are pretty good. You can usually spot the horrible ones by looking at the price point. However, most microphones, especially the one, now that only needs a little bit of adjustment. You'll notice that if I go too high with it, it sounds like I'm speaking into a tin. But this sounds pretty good to me. That record in 32-bit float are pretty decent. So that is my full workflow. That's all I do. So let's enable track 1. And now we can listen to a before and after. What I will do is I'll just normalize this audio level to YouTube so that it's a little bit louder. So with the original clip enabled and the new voice clip, let's mute the new one and listen to a little bit of the original clip. In today's day and age, most microphones are pretty good. You can usually spot the horrible ones by looking at the price point. And then we'll mute the original clip and just play the new voice clip. However, most microphones, especially the ones that record in 32-bit float, so let's listen to the clips one after the other and see if we can spot the difference. And you can make it sound even better using software like Davinci Resolve. So that's basically my process. That's how to make your mic sound as clear as you possibly can using Davinci Resolve. Just keep in mind when you're working with the equalizer that's where you are going to have to do it according to your voice, and really realistically just band 3 and band 5 that you need to change a little bit. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope to bring you some more fascinating videos shortly.